All right, so the Financial Post just put out this article yesterday. Buyers' markets disappear as Canada's home sales heat up. Sales surge for the second month in a row. Let's check out and see what they got to say about this. Normally, when the days get colder, the housing market goes into hibernation, but apparently not this year. Spring was in the air yesterday, with the Canadian Real Estate Association posting a second month of strong home sales gains, leading some economists to boost their forecast for the year ahead. So here's the thing about real estate. It trends one way until it doesn't trend that way anymore. Typically, it's going one direction for 3 to 6 months until it stops going that direction, it rolls over or it rolls up, and then it starts going the other way, right? So it's going to sound ridiculous, but real estate market's either going down, going up, or trading flat. There's no chop on a month-to-month basis, right? Like, even if I show you the chart of my market at the Fraser Valley, right? It's going up, and then it's going down, and then it's going up, and it's always doing this for a couple months at a time. It's not like the S&P where it's chopping every day due to how liquid it is, how easy it is to buy or sell something on a daily basis. I mean, as well, they record this data every single minute, whereas the housing market, that data gets recorded on a monthly basis, which would smooth out a lot of the chop that you see. But regardless, the market moves a lot slower. And for that reason, that's typically why you have a trend lasting 3 to 6 months before it starts going the other way. You're never going to see it chopping up and down on a monthly basis or a weekly basis, at least. Not anytime recently that I can think of anyways. So normally we might expect this market rebound to take a pause before resuming in the spring. However, the Bank of Canada's latest 50 basis point cut, together with a loosening of mortgage rules, could mean a more active winter market than normal, said CREA senior economist Sean Cathart said in a news release. Now, the reason why this is important to understand is we've now had, or the start of a trend of 2 months of massive sales increases. So if trends typically last a couple months before they phase out and go the other way, I would expect that going into spring, we're going to continue to see higher levels of sales and likely price gains, unless some new ridiculous piece of news comes out. The Canadian government seems to be collapsing as we speak. There's drones in the sky everywhere in the US for some reason right now. So I'm willing to bet there's going to be some weird piece of news that comes out soon. But if we don't get a weird piece of news, you're likely going to see sales continue to increase and probably prices early into the spring, just because that's how trends in real estate typically work. The number of homes sold in November jumped 26% from a year ago, following a 30% gain in October, so nearly 30% month-over-month gains. On a monthly basis, sales rose 2% in November and 7.7% in October. Year-over-year gains of 26% and then 30%. Putting the housing market back to levels last seen before the pandemic in late 2019. New listings have fallen over the past 2 months, which is typical for this time of year anyways, tightening market supply and putting those sales to new listings ratios in the upper reaches of balanced territory. We're probably going to see a bunch of new listings come into the new year. That being said, as we speak right now, it looks like the demand is outpacing the supply, so we'll see what happens. In fact, no outright buyers markets remain among 23 major cities we track. So there are no buyers markets left in the 23 major cities that they track, said Robert senior economist at BMO Capital Markets. Home prices are also on the rise, with the national average for November up 7.4% from a year ago to $694,000. So it looks like all the realtors who said prices were going up last year were correct, with the Royal LePage and the Remax predictions and all the greedy realtors who had predictions of prices going up. Looks like they were right this year. The MLS Home Price Index rose 0.6% in the strongest monthly gain since July 2023, and benchmark prices in Toronto and Vancouver rose at the fastest pace in more than a year, said Robert Hogg, economist at Royal Bank of Canada. I'm obviously joking, by the way. That was a joke. Everybody loves to hate realtors. I thought I would be a smartass. Economists expect sales and prices will continue to rise as borrowing costs ease further and new government policies clear the path for more home buyers to enter the market. The new rules, effective this past Sunday, allow first-time homebuyers to take out 30-year amortizations and raises the insured mortgage cap to $1.5 million. Talked about this a whole lot. You only need $125,000 down to buy a $1.5 million detached home these days. And if you have 4 people on the mortgage application and the home has a suite, it ends up being pretty affordable now. Given the snapback in the sales to new listings ratio and the rebounds in prices in Toronto and Vancouver, where prospects had looked most worrisome, it no longer makes sense to forecast a brief period of house price declines ahead of the spring market buying season, said Stephen Brown, Deputy Chief North American Economist at Capital Economics. Capital is now predicting average monthly price gains of 0.4% between now and June. Overall, it expects home prices will rise 4% this year and next. So, yeah, and it's funny to see the narrative shift that fast. I mean, 3 months ago, we were talking about everything was going to explode. As early as May, we were talking about these rates are going to be this high for years to come. They'll never come down, higher for longer. And here we are now, basically 6 months later, and interest rates are already down 175 basis points with more cuts forecasted for the future. The government's rolling out all these programs to stimulate buyer demand. And it's funny, he says from now until June, prices are going to increase. Like I said, real estate markets trend one way until they don't. So barring any random out of nowhere, somebody farting in the Middle East, and then who knows, right? Ridiculous news that comes out every week. Barring that happening, prices are probably going to go up. That's what it looks like is happening right now. And then as we get into the back half of 2025, we're going to have substantially lower interest rates. But again, the unemployment situation is still looming in the background. So we'll have to see what happens. Just wanted to bring you guys this news today. If you appreciate it, please do subscribe to the channel. If you want to chat about buying or selling, I got a link down in the description. I'm that Agent Kelly, and I'm making moves to move you. Peace.